Welcome back. Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa is under pressure as protests are planned for next week amid fresh challenges to his rule. Zanu-PF is heading for an internal implosion, with disgruntled war veterans leading calls for Mnangagwa's resignation. He has acted to consolidate his hold on power with the dismissal of a senior general amid growing fears of a possible coup by former allies. Mnangagwa, who took charge after a military coup that ousted longtime ruler Robert Mugabe in 2017, is facing growing dissent within his Zanu-PF party, which has ruled Zimbabwe since independence from Britain in 1980. I'm joined now by political analyst Peter Mutasa. Peter, a very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. What has led to these proposed protests that are going to take place from Monday?
Yeah, so I think it's multiple factors, but they can be traced from what happened in 2017, November 2017, the coup that deposed Robert Mugabe. It's so certain to us who were not involved in it deeply that there could have been some gentlemen's agreements, and they were clearly articulated work plans, how they were going to share the spoils, how they were going to rule the country, and how they were going to manage succession. So I think everything else has gone according to plan to President Mnangagwa so far in his attempt to continue in power. But that has definitely angered those who believe they legitimately must be coming into power, and who believe that there's been breach of the agreements that they made in 2017 when they removed Robert Mugabe. But there are also issues to do with the economic implosion and social upheavals. So if you look at our economy, it's not doing well. Companies are closing. Workers are working for close to nothing. Public services are not available to many. So there's general anger within the populace. But the population knows that they can't do anything against the mighty regime. And that's why many are following through when it is coming from within. So there are many things, economic interests between the protagonists. Many people are controlling a lot of resources and controlling various sectors of the economy, and that shrinks or leaves others out of the economic cake. And that is mainly what is causing this implosion. But it can be traced mainly from the 2017 political deals that were made before people sacrificed their lives in participating in the coup and removing Robert Mugabe. So it's majorly an internal Zanu-PF succession battle.
And you speak about the battle for the economic cake. Would you also say that, of course, there's a battle for the political cake as well? After that successful coup in 2017 that you just reminded us about as well, there seemed to be quite a bit of euphoria. There were celebrations in the streets, and people were pretty happy at the ousting of some people of Robert Mugabe. And it seemed that Zimbabwe was heading on a different trajectory. What happened to that euphoria?
The euphoria is gone. There's a general cloud of despondence. People are not happy. People are hopeless. When people got into the streets supporting the coup, they'd gone through a lot under Robert Mugabe, and they never thought that anyone else would come and be worse than Mugabe. So people were expecting the basic things. They were expecting revival of the industry and creation of jobs. This has not happened. They were expecting refurbishment of our infrastructure, especially hospitals, educational facilities, roads, water, electricity generation. This has not happened. They were also expecting equitable distribution of resources, especially those from the marginalized rural areas in marginalized provinces. who had their own grievances against Mugabe, the Matabeleland, Manicaland, and other provinces that felt that they were marginalized. So people were expecting the incoming government not to do like what Robert Mugabe was doing, but on economic front, that has not happened. We've seen more and more, which is one of the complaints of the war veterans, that we've seen the economy working for a few and most of the economic sectors getting into the hands of the few. We've also seen that we failed to revive our infrastructure, our hospital, public services has failed. So there are many, many grievances, but also we've seen that repression has not changed. Many people have been jailed. Many people have been charged with offenses that do not even exist, which is a continuation or perpetuation of the Robert Mugabe regime. So the euphoria is gone. People are in a state of despair and people are hopeless. And now with what is happening, the crisis we are facing, there's a serious sense of fear. People don't know what is going to happen. It's not going to be like 2017 when Robert Mugabe was taken by surprise. This is going to be two huge elephants fighting, and definitely the grass will suffer.
Yeah, and already those patrols have apparently started taking place already there in Zimbabwe to try and monitor those upcoming protests. Is that accurate?
Yes, the situation is quite tense in the ghetto, in the city. People are aware that you can't be careless. You can't just speak your mind. People are taking cautions. Those who are prayerful, they are praying. Those who are cautious are also taking precautions, and the fearful are possibly hiding and keeping to themselves. So there's tension. There's a visible tension in the country. There's a massive presence of the security forces, especially the police. There are many police patrols, and we've also heard from activists in the main organizations that we represent that they suspect that there are a lot of surveillance, and they are also taking precautions and keeping to themselves. So there's a dark cloud of uncertainty. People don't know what will happen on the 31st and beyond. And many people are holding their breath.
Now, Mnangagwa came in via a coup. Is it possible, do you think, that he will be ousted via a coup too? And then also, Peter, where does that leave Zimbabweans and their democracy when it comes to voting for their electorate as well? Is this how the leadership will be sort of appointed via coups?
So there's a history around elections and democracy in Zimbabwe. We have always witnessed coups, and some were not really pronounced military coups, but there were coups against parliament, coups against electoral processes. You would know that in 2008, Morgan Tsvangirai won, and everyone knew that Morgan Tsvangirai won. But the military, with its straitjacket pronouncement and its pronouncements that they will not salute anyone who had no war, free liberation war credentials, that was clearly a coup. There is also suspicion that almost all the other elections up to now were not held in fair environment, and also when the winners were not given the opportunity to lead. So there have been coups. If you are to look at it from 2017, you will miss the bigger picture. Zimbabwe is not possible. It's not possible currently under Zanu-PF rule for a transition through the electoral process, because there is an embedded relationship between the state and the state security or military institutions. So he who holds the gun holds the sway. And it may be that we are going to continue to see internal Zanu-PF politics giving us new leaders, whether it's going to be called a coup or not, but it is not going to be through democratic means. I don't think we are going to have a succession for as long as Zanu-PF is in power through democratic means.
Sure. Now, the situation that you described on the ground right now, that just level of uncertainty and people living in fear as well, do you foresee people coming out in their numbers on Monday to protest?
No one knows. No one knows. Many people are aware this is a very delicate situation where probably it will depend on how the state security institutions respond. Many people are also aware that the ruling party and the government can at times, many times, respond with vicious force against protesters. We have called protesters labor movements. We have called protesters civic society, but this one is different because it's an internal Zanu-PF infighting factional fights. So we don't know whether the police is going to be heavy-handed against war veterans, against other Zanu-PF supporters. So there's uncertainty. It may come out that people come out in numbers like witness in 2017. It may come out that people will generally take precautions and stay in their homes. One thing that we are seeing is that there's a divide between public opinion. Some who are saying, yes, we must support it because people are suffering and the economy is not doing well and the government is not treating citizens well. And other section of the society that is also saying, no, this is an internal Zanu-PF fight. So there's no clarity on what will happen on the 31st. We are just also waiting to see what may happen.
Peter, thank you so much for your time and just clarifying a lot of what's going on there in Zimbabwe for us. That's political analyst Peter Mutasa just speaking about those upcoming protests scheduled